I think Expensify today is more of a startup than ever. We just did our old Super Bowl ad, just for the fun of it.
Expensify is one of the world's biggest expense management apps. But how do you scale a startup to be a global leader and a Super Bowl superstar? I'm Michael Hainsworth, discovering the secrets to success in the innovation economy.
I am David Barrett, founder and CEO of Expensify. So the dirty secret behind Expensify is that the whole thing was never intended to happen. In 2008, I launched Expensify, the corporate card for the masses at TechCrunch 50. Day after launch, shut down for good. And I was like, now what do I do? Now it's going to do expense report reimbursement. Then they're asking me, so tell me about your expense reports. I'm like, do you export to accounting packages? Mind you, I know nothing about any of this. I'm like, of course, I support QuickBooks in all of them, definitely. And like, do you reimburse through ACH? I'm like, I've never heard those letters in my life, but yes, definitely. Yeah, when you're starting off, it's just super important to say yes to every opportunity. So yeah, it's expense management is just a ruse in order to launch this card platform. But in the end, it turns out that that was a much better opportunity than anything I was doing prior. Because like, you're gonna save me so much time. And I'm like, I don't have anything yet, but tell me what you think it is that I'm gonna build and maybe I could actually do that. And so I think that the importance is just saying, yes and, as opposed to yes but.
11 years after saying yes and, Expensify is enjoying triple-digit growth rates and has been profitable for about a decade.
I think it really comes down to sort of two components. First, establish a path to profitability as soon as possible and never give up control of the board. Anytime any of our people is spending their time talking to one other customer, that is just inherently not scalable. Because at some point that means you've coupled your revenue growth to your headcount growth. We've doubled revenue, but we didn't double headcount. Exponential growth is awesome at scale, but it only works if you haven't also in the process coupled your growth to headcount. Because that means if you did, that means you have to hire on an exponentially increasing basis. And hiring is the slowest and riskiest thing you'll ever do. You can show short-term revenue gain by just throwing a ton of money at it, throwing a bunch of people at it. But inevitably, everyone tries this and everyone kind of peters out after a certain point. You need to choose a different business model. And I think the only one that can scale to the entire world is word of mouth. We've built a business model that's all about inspiring individual employees and getting them to talk about us to all their friends. The team that we hire is not to support the existing customers, they support themselves. The team that we hire is to pursue new opportunities. And so the more people we have is better, don't get me wrong, but they're in order to accelerate growth, not just to maintain growth. And so over time, the exponential growth will beat any linear growth. Most startups are like hunter-gatherers in the sense that you can only gather as much as you have people out there in the forest, basically gathering it up. But we're like farmers in the sense that every month we clear a new field, and that field will grow forever, and then we clear the next one.
Through CIBC Innovation Banking, Expensify added $48 million to its coffers to help pay for this beautiful 100-year-old bank headquarters in Portland, Oregon, but primarily to leverage up its scale-up strategy.
Well, I think the nice thing about profit is that it can be leveraged through debt because if you've got an extra $1 million of profit a month that you want to apply towards something, you could either spend $1 million a month on that thing, or you could spend $1 million a month on interest and do a thing much, much larger than that. And we settled upon CIBC Innovation Banking because they were just so familiar with what our needs were, and they were so flexible in trying to come up with a structure that accommodated our unique business model. At every point in the process, they were so supportive and so creative, we just realized, no, we've got a partner for life here.
What about that scrapped credit card? Expensify launched the Expensify card in October 2019. And as for the expense of a Super Bowl ad?
Basically just using this excuse to do something super rad in order to motivate the team to go out and take over the world.
And hang out with 2 Chainz.
And hang out with 2 Chainz, who is super nice, by the way. I had the best time hanging out with him and his mom. They were super friendly. And
hang on a second. The rapper brought his mom?
Oh yeah, his mom was there. She's in the video, actually.